of America's original 7 astronauts. He has the distinction of being the first human to conduct missions in both outer and inner space. He was the second American orbital pilot, piloting the spacecraft through 3 revolutions of the Earth. And later, he participated in the Navy's Man in the Sea project as an astronaut in Sea-Lab 2 program. Scott Carpenter. On July 20, 1969, he and Neil Armstrong landed at the Sea of Tranquility, becoming the first men to walk on the moon. His first spaceflight was aboard Gemini 12, during which he spent more than 5 hours outside the vehicle spacewalking. Today, he is a member of the Shared Space Foundation, Buzz Aldrin. He served as the Leonardo pilot aboard the first manned mission of the Apollo program, Apollo 7. He later served as chief of the Skylab branch of the Flight Crew Directorate, overseeing components of the United States' first space station. Today, he shares his thoughts on spaceflight through periodic columns, lectures, and his book, The All-American Boys, Walt Cunningham. He was a member of the Apollo 13 crew that struggled to return to Earth after an oxygen tank explosion aborted the mission as it approached the moon in 1970. Selected by NASA for its 5th class of astronauts in April 1966, he later was commander of the Space Shuttle Enterprise approach and landing test flight. Fred Hayes. Pilot on the 1971 Apollo 15 moon mission, during which he orbited the moon while his crewmates explored the surface. On a homeward journey, he took the farthest out spacewalk 200,000 miles from the Earth, moving along handrails on the outside of Endeavour to retrieve film cassettes from 2 moon ramping cameras. Al Gordon. The 10th person to walk on the moon aboard Apollo 16 in 1972. During 3 outside excursions over 3 days, he and fellow astronaut John Young drove a lunar rover 16 miles and collected 213 pounds of lunar rock and soil. Today, he is president of the Charlie Duke Enterprises and is an active speaker. Charlie Duke. Days in orbit as a member of the 2nd Skylab space station crew in 1973. In 1982, he commanded the 3rd orbital test flight of Space Shuttle Columbia, the only mission to land at White Sands, New Mexico. He is a retired colonel from the U.S. Marine Corps, Jack Luzma. For 59 days aboard the Skylab space station in 1973, during which he conducted 3 spacewalks to exchange film and erect a sun shield to cool the orbiting laboratory. 10 years later, he returned to space aboard Columbia on the first flight of the Space Lab laboratory. Currently, he is an adjunct professor at the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Owen Garriott. Piloted the 4th and final test flight of the Space Shuttle Columbia before commanding Discovery on its maiden voyage in 1984. His last assignment was the first planned and controlled mission by a foreign customer and the first to fly 8 crew members. Later, he served as Vice President of Raytheon Aerospace Engineering, Hank Hartsfield. A 3-flight veteran, he and fellow crew member Bob Crippen were the first to fly an orbiter in close proximity to a free-flying satellite on STS-7. He went on to command the return to flight mission after Challenger was lost. He left NASA in 1989 and later became president and CEO of Axis Space in Maryland. Rick Howe. Piloting the first night launch and commanding the others, including the maiden flight of Endeavour. He also served as chief of the NASA Astronaut Office for 5 years and is currently Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of the United Space Alliance. Dan Brandenstein. chief of the Astronaut office until September 1994 and retired from NASA soon thereafter. He currently spends his time giving motivational speeches and setting world aviation records in his spare time. Who gets him? He will be forever remembered by an iconic photo taken of him flying freely without a tether over the Earth on mission STS-41B. During the flight, he tested the manned maneuvering unit, a jet-powered backpack that allowed him to float away from the shuttle. 6 years later, he returned to space aboard Discovery to deploy the Hubble Space Telescope. He currently works for Lockheed Martin Space Systems Company in Denver. Bruce McCandless. He flew 3 shuttle missions and was a member of the first spacewalking team to repair a satellite in orbit. He launched twice more on the missions immediately before and after the loss of Challenger. He retains the distinction of being the only American to test fly the Russian manned maneuvering unit. Currently, he serves as Director of Science, Mathematics, and Technology Education at Western Washington University. Pinky Nelson. Space flight and piloted another, logging 463 hours in space. His first flight was the maiden voyage of the Space Shuttle Discovery and the first shuttle pad abort. He went on to command the 3rd shuttle mission after the Challenger tragedy. He is currently director of NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. Michael Coe. He has flown 3 shuttle missions, commanding STS-31 to successfully deploy the Hubble Space Telescope. He went on to command STS-46, deploying the European Retrievable Carrier, Eureka, and the Italian Tethered Satellite. From 1997 to 2000, he held the position of Deputy Director of NASA's Kennedy Space Center. Currently, he serves as Vice President of Engineering and Integration and Chief Technology Officer at United Space Alliance, Lauren Schreiber. Veteran of 5 shuttle missions and the first astronaut to log 1,000 hours on the shuttle. He made NASA's first unplanned spacewalk and performed 3 spacewalks during the first Hubble Space Telescope repair mission. He is currently a professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Jeff Hoffman. A 4-time Space Shuttle veteran, he distinguished himself as both commander of the first Hubble Space Telescope repair mission and as pilot of Discovery for the shuttle program's return-to-flight mission following the 1986 Challenger disaster. He has recently retired as the President and Chief Executive Officer for United Space Alliance. Dick Covey. His first mission aboard Space Shuttle Columbia was the last to fly before the Challenger accident in 1986. He also piloted Space Shuttle Discovery on the 5-day STS-31 mission to deploy the Hubble Space Telescope. He flew twice more, logging more than 680 hours in orbit. Today he serves as the NASA Administrator, Charles Bolden. A 4-time shuttle astronaut, he commanded the first mission to the International Space Station. He served as mission specialist for STS-27, a Department of Defense mission, launched the Ulysses probe on STS-41, and operated the U.S. microgravity payload on STS-52. He went on to become the civilian engineer assigned to the staff of the Commander Naval Special Warfare Command. Bill Shepard. He flew 5 Space Shuttle missions and 1 long-duration Mir space station flight. He piloted 2 flights, including the 3rd flight following the Challenger tragedy. He went on to command 2 missions before becoming the 3rd American to live aboard the Russian Mir space station and set an American record of 128 days in orbit. John Blaha. Veteran piloting his first 2 Space Shuttle missions. Later, he commanded STS-65, during which he and his crew set a record for the longest shuttle mission at that time, and STS-88, the first space station assembly mission. He is currently the center director right here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. Robert Cabana.